Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbyson, joined with Reed Bacon. Got a great one. We're talking about the Combine. We're discussing every guy's numbers and how they looked and how scouts might perceive them. We also touch on basketball a little bit, but before we get into that, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, leave us comments. We love those. If you're just listening, rate and review, download and re-download, and follow us on all those platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you listen. We also have merch right now, How We Doing Bud t-shirts in orange and in white. The link is below, so you can go check those out. And you want to follow us on social media at Believe in Tennessee for our main account on Twitter, at rbacon26reed, at Kyler Kerbyson for myself on all social media platforms. So without further ado, let's jump on into the podcast.
By the game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir, Reed. No, sir, Reed. Final score. Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught. Tennessee wins! Caught by Tennessee to one Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
All right, so before we jump into the podcast, got to shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. It is the place to go for betting. It is your number one source for betting. They have all the odds, all the team totals, all the parlays that you could ever want, and they cover every sport. You got NFL, you got NBA, you got tennis, you got golf, you got baseball, you got everything you could think of. It is the place to go if you're going to bet on anything and make anything exciting. So for first-time signups, go over to betonline.ag, and for a 50% welcome bonus, use promo code BELIEVE. BLEAV at checkout and receive that 50% welcome bonus. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, welcome in, everybody. I got another great podcast for you. I say it every week, but I mean it. We're going to break down the NFL Combine and the Vols that performed in it and how they did, and the analysts and what they see out of them, and kind of give you guys some inside info on that. But before we get into any of that great stuff, Reed, how are we doing, bud?
Hello, you beautiful man. Nice UT gear. We both went UT gear today.
Yeah, repping it out. This is like one of my first hoodies I got when I was there. It's like an Adidas hoodie. It's like a 3X. It's massive on me.
Is it?
Yeah, it's so comfortable though, but it's just huge.
That's good though for laying around the crib.
Exactly. It's perfect for that. I definitely couldn't wear this out. I mean, I've worn the hell out of it since I was an idiot freshman and just like dropping food on it, and like it's a gross hoodie.
Let me see where's your hands? Like, where does it go on your?
Well, it's got that tightener, so it's not that bad, and it's not that bad at lengthwise, but it's just I mean, there's a lot of room in here.
Like Fat Bastard when he lost all this weight and he has all that excess skin.
I almost did the joke, but I feel like that might be a little inappropriate.
Yeah. No inappropriate jokes. Yeah, this hoodie is also, I got this my freshman year. Now, as you remember, I was only at UT for 3 years because then I turned pro.
Oh, yeah. He only made it to his junior year, guys.
It really does kind of annoy me, though, that you say, we got another great pod. I mean, I know you explained yourself, and I know you were like, you go into the pod, you go into the day like, let's do this. It's going to be a great one. Let's just say like, hey, happy Monday. Well, it's Monday for us, but I don't know if you're going to get this out tomorrow, Wednesday, whatever. Who knows? But let's try to think of something else, just that we sprinkle in a little bit.
You don't want me making false promises.
Yeah, sometimes we're not that good. Other times I feel like there's times I feel like we knocked it out of the park, and there's other times I feel like we need to re-record, but we don't because we're busy. But anyways, I'm doing well. Hope you are. Let's jump into this.
Yeah, let's just do it. Over the weekend, NFL Combine had quite a few guys there. First, just to start off with, like Paxton, Brooks, and Hendon Hooker. Like, great for them that they got to go. Like Paxton, I don't think it really matters much what he runs or does or like anything. The best thing for those two guys is possible interviews with coaches, taking the Wonderlic and the mental side of that. So great that they got the opportunity. They didn't really get to do much, but still good for them. I say we start on the defensive side of the ball, if you're okay with that.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to start how Tennessee at TennesseeUTSports.com, inside the numbers, Vols at the 2023 NFL Combine. Great article, by the way, and it's perfect for us. So we're just going to start at the top, and so it's kind of random. However UT Sports wants to do it, that's how we're going to do it.
Okay.
So the first person might be a little controversial. Jeremy Banks.
Here we go.
6'1", 232, 32-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands, 40-yard dash. Yeah. I'm going to let you talk about the arm length because really arm length matters for Jeremy Banks, Byron Young, and Darnell Wright. I mean, really.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got 40-yard dash of 4.53. We got a 10-yard split of a 1.56. Vertical 37.5, broad jump 10.7. We got a three-cone drill of 7.27, 20-yard shuttle 4.38, and bench press of 25. Let me dive in, and I'll just go ahead and sound like a tool to start off. 25 reps is good.
It's good. He's probably got a 350, 365 bench max if he's doing 225 25 times.
I think he might. I think maybe
maybe 375.
I'm just going to go ahead and say why I said this is a douchey comment because we're talking about this bench press and it means nothing. But I was trying to remember how many the most I did at 225, and I was not prepping. I was not prepping for it. I also didn't look like that natural guy.
You couldn't run a 4.38 shuttle with that too?
I actually think my shuttle was probably my best thing that I did. Because my 40
don't lie.
My 40 was not great. I really want to say, besides the fact that people don't care about this, but I want to say I think I got 18 or 20 of 225, but that was my strongest. That was post playing football, Reed just trying to get as big as strong as he could. I couldn't move at all because I literally got up to like 230 and was just large, little bad weight, little love handles, little belly. But
that weight helps. That weight helps bounce, baby. Push that thing up.
It does. How many did you get again? You got a lot. You were like 40s, weren't you?
In the 30s. So for reference, when I first got to Tennessee, I remember doing it, and my bench max was probably around 330. And
that's embarrassing. That is awful.
And I did 18 reps. Or that was the first time I ever tried 225 rep max. And I was a freshman. So I did 18. And then by the time I graduated, it was in pro day, I was one rep max, probably like 420. And then I did 32 on day of. So you can kind of gauge off of that. Like if he's getting 25, he's probably upper threes range in one rep max, which is great. I mean, that's awesome.
All right, we're not talking. All right, here's the deal. We're not talking about bench presses anymore. I just, unless it's like a super low number or high number, but I just had to. We had to be tools for a second. Anyways,
a lot of the times I look at these as like just to make sure.
Does it just make sense?
Yeah, just to be like, hey, is he strong enough? Is he not too weak? Or in a different aspect, is he fast enough? Is he not too slow? And it just like it's almost like, okay, that's fine. That's good. Like, okay, like they probably looked at it and said, if Darnell gets if he gets under 5.32, then we're fine. You know what I mean? They're just like benchmarks, and they're like, if you get under that, okay, good.
Yeah.
No, agree.
Yeah. So I'm going to be honest. I think 6'1", 232 is good. Good size. I heard someone say, hey, that's a little bit slight for like a middle linebacker. I'm like, I don't think so. And it kind of made me mad because it's like, I've heard, like, and I forget who mentioned it. It was someone on NFL Network, and I was lucky to hear it. I was lucky enough to see some of Jeremy Banks, and it said, oh, he's just a little slight. I'm like, no, bro. Like, the NFL now, like, he might have been a little slight 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, because they wanted 240, 250. I think he's really good size. I mean, my favorite linebacker in the league right now for the Titans is David Long. I swear David Long probably isn't more than damn 220. I mean, he's little, but I mean, he plays so well. And like, so I think 232 is a good size for Jerry.
Guess what? Fred Warner for the San Francisco 49ers. Guess how much he weighs? 229.
But he's like 6'4". But
it's just like, who was it? What was his name that played for Tampa when they won the Super Bowl?
Devin White.
Devin White, who's undersized, and then there's another guy.
David.
What'd you say?
Levante David from Tampa.
Levante David, yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you before, but Levante David, he's a smaller guy.
Yeah. No, I thought that was a little annoying when they said, I think the 40-yard dash that's great for him. 4.5, I think
right.
I thought he was going to be 4.5, maybe 4.6, but I was like, if he hits 4.5s and low 4.5s, which he did, he had a 4.53, I think that's fabulous for Jeremy. 10-yard split, 1.56, pretty good. Vertical 37.5, that's good. Broad jump 10.7, good. And then you don't see it. A lot of these guys don't do the 3-cone drill anymore. 7.27 is pretty good. But I always remember when I was going through this stuff, and this was more like during high school doing stuff to go to college, clearly not college of the pros, but like in your 20-yard shuttle, they said you want your 20-yard shuttle to be as close to or a better than your 40.
Yeah.
And I had always remembered that. So the fact that he ran a 4.38 on the 20-yard shuttle, I think that's good. It shows that he can move sideline to sideline.
Yeah, I'd like that too. I think all of these numbers are good boosts to Jeremy's like overall look. Jeremy's played very well on film, but I don't think scouts were very confident in him as just like a linebacker number one, like a start and middle linebacker. And then I also think they're on the fence about off the field stuff with Jeremy too.
Well, that's obvious.
Jeremy's got to show out during this, and he's probably going to try again and like run again at Pro Day, but so that people are like, okay, yes, this is a freak athlete as well.
Yeah, I don't want you to say things that are obvious and make them sound kind of like, oh, like we know the off the field issues are the biggest deal for him.
Yeah,
and I remember actually reading his grade. I was on the scrolling through on the NFL app, and I was reading about him and Henry To'o. And so I was reading about both of them, and they have Henry T as where he can start as a back. It says backup with potential to become a starter. And then for Jeremy Banks, it was like good backup, special teams player, probably not ever a starter. For me personally, when I turned on the film, I would have probably taken Jeremy Banks this year on the games that I watched of both of them.
Yeah.
I would have probably taken Jeremy Banks over Henry T. Now, obviously, Henry T doesn't have any off-the-field issues. I can't speak to which one is a more headsy, which one's smarter, which one can learn the playbook quicker, tell everyone else where to go, get the checks. I don't know all that. But physically-wise, like, he had a better physical day than Henry T. And I'm just talking about Henry T as an example because I read about But it says notables. Banks' athleticism was on full display. His 37.5-inch vertical was second, best amongst linebackers. His broad jump was third, and his 20-yard shuttle, which I just talked about, was third. That's nice. That if you're top echelon of the linebackers, that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And like if you look over his analysis that they gave him, it is, he makes up for his slight undersize with physicality, which we don't even think he's really that undersized. His instincts and recognition improved over the past year, but he can still get better in those areas. He plays with below average short area twitch and just modest pursuit speed with sideline to sideline, but will hit and wrap what is in front of him. Now, a 4.38 proves that he can go side to side. He can move. A 4.53 in the 40 proves that he does have speed. He can't. So it's just the doubts. If anybody had little doubts of his game, then he's just like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong by actually running a fast time and doing well in this certain event. So that definitely this day helped Jeremy Banks moving forward. I think Henry T has the advantage of multiple years starting at middle linebacker for multiple teams and different defenses. They see him as he's just got more experience. He's more veteran than Jeremy is. And I think that's why, if you are looking at the two prospects, that someone would pick Henry T over Jeremy. But I agree with you. When you turn on the film this past year, it really does feel like Jeremy made a huge difference on this team compared to
if you can run and you're physical, you can find a spot. Like, I'm not going to be surprised at all if Jeremy doesn't necessarily get drafted and then signs free agent somewhere, gets drafted really late because of those off the field issues. I mean, he's had more than one.
Yeah.
And I won't be surprised if he gets drafted and then goes to a team and he is, on a random Thursday night NFL kickoff, and it's, like the Cincinnati Bengals versus, the Browns, and you see Jeremy Banks run down and make a big hit tackle. Like, I'm not going to be surprised about that, because he does have that. We say it way too much, but he's got that dog in him, and like he's going to lay it out there. You know what I mean? So, listen, all that's in behind you, kid. You got to go and see what's up next. So, and the other thing is too, like, if you just love ball, there's all these other leagues out there right now that you can try to catch on. And
very true.
So that's the one good, that's the one good thing about these guys now. I mean, they got the XFL, the USFL,
more opportunity.
Yeah, they got the Reed Bacon Backyard Football League. All right, let's talk about Jalin. 6 foot 176.
Which is lighter than what I said the other day. You remember you called me out on it.
Well, but I'm coming back to that. I'm coming back to his weight because I got a thought here.
Okay.
So we're 6 foot 176. 40 was a 4.4. 10-yard split was a 1.5. Vertical was a 40. Broad jump was 11.3. So it has notables on here. Out of the 42 wide receivers, Hyatt produced the best broad jump. His 40 was fourth best, and a 4.4, which was top 6 amongst the wide receiver group. Here is my thing. Jalin, I didn't know who's going to surprise me more, Jalin, Byron, or Darnell. And I'm going to say that Jalin surprised me, and it was for the wrong thing. And it's funny because 4.4 is still great speed. I really, really thought we were going to see him go high 4.2s, low 4.3s, like 4.4, 1, 4.4. I mean, 4.31, 4.32, 4.33. Something there. So it kind of surprised me. Now, I will also say Byron. I knew Byron would do well. I did not know that he was going to do that well. So they both surprised me in their own way. But anyways, talk about Jalin. This is the thing about the weight, Kyler. 176, and he's coming out of season, and he is. I know when you're in season, you lose some weight, especially for you big boys. But the fact that he's had a couple weeks to a month or month and a half, 2 months to prepare for the combine, I'm telling your ass right now, if he was 176 at the combine, that boy was playing this past year about 170. And there's no way.
I mean,
Maybe
he was probably
171.
getting into the 160s.
There's no way that when these guys do this, that they are not usually at their heaviest, meaning heaviest strength, when you're some sort of skill guy. Obviously, the big fellas.
I mean, if in the first sentence of your analysis they say slender, then you're packing on weight for the you are trying to weigh as much as you can because you see that they see that as a detriment.
Right.
That's plain and simple.
It's a fine line depending on what position you play. If you're a big linebacker, you're probably trying to cut weight so that you run faster. If you're a smaller running back or receiver, you're trying to put a little bit weight on while still maintaining that really good speed. Like I said, for you big fellas, it just all depends. If you're a lighter tackle, you want to put some weight on. So it all depends. But I'm telling you, like that's, and I don't know for a fact, and I'm not going to call people liars, but all that stuff where you and I saw Jalin at practice 2 years ago as a sophomore, and then all that talk this year going into this year was Jalin looks so much bigger. He's more mature. He's really changed his body. You and I saw him. We said, he don't look like he's changed his body at all. He literally, from when we saw him we saw him in a fall camp, a spring practice, and then another fall camp. Yeah. And his body literally never changed at all. No. And so we just thought it was a bunch of nonsense that whether it was local media or whether it was the people over there on campus were trying to say. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. He never looked like he changed in size, all that. Oh, he put extra weight on. I can tell he looks bigger and stronger. Yeah, a bunch of BS. But I'm telling you, that means this man played because there's no way he lost weight going into the combine.
No.
So I mean,
if anything, he gained weight for sure.
Right. That's my.
Yeah. He like you said with the 40. Here was my thought process, going into it. When you were saying 4.3s, I was like, I agree. I think he can get to that. It seems as though he plays at that speed. When you watch his tape, it's okay, I think this guy could run a 4.3. His best attribute is his speed. That is his best attribute. It is the thing that sets him apart from everybody else. They look at Jalin and compare him to all the other wide receivers in the draft. That's how you do it as a coach. They look at Jalin and they go, you know what? Of all the wide receivers, what does he do best? He's the fastest. Now we look at this 40, and he's not the fastest guy out there. There's guys that can run faster than him. There's DBs that are running faster than him. It was just, hey, this is your best attribute. I better see it blow out of the water. And with it being a normal, it is quote unquote normal nowadays for times. I mean, you didn't see 4.3s and 4.2s. That was very rare 15 years ago. When Chris Johnson ran a 4.2 for the first time, it blew everyone's mind. And now we've got 4 or 5 guys who have run. Yeah, exactly. And now we've got 4 or 5 guys who have run 4.2s. And it's now every single combine we have guys running 4.3s. So a 4.4 doesn't necessarily seem as impressive as it has in the past. And, there's a reason why Jalin didn't run the 3-cone and he didn't run the shuttle. It's because he knew those aren't his strengths and he wasn't going to put up good numbers. And people were going to go, those are bad. Maybe we should drop him in the draft. That is literally why. I bet Jalin won't even run him at Pro Day because the only thing would happen is hurt him. It's just part of Jalin. That's who he is. He can't move side to side very quickly. That's it. And that's the reason why people have called us haters on Jalin. It's because we pointed out those facts about him, that in certain areas he isn't the best. And this is just proof of that. Hey, in certain areas he's not the best. He is a speedster, but now we're seeing that it's not as fast. It just kind of sucks. I want to support every Tennessee football player that ever plays. I want to see them in the NFL. I wish all the success in the world. But what I'm doing right now, this podcast, I'm supposed to tell it how I see it. And how I see it is Jalin isn't as fast as we thought. And he's not very good at lateral quickness. So why wouldn't someone pick someone else over him if those things aren't holding to the standard of a first-round wide receiver?
Yeah,
I mean, he's the Biletnikoff Award winner, and nobody, people are not picking him to be the first wide receiver. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. It doesn't matter if you win the award. It doesn't matter if you're most productive during a season. You have to fit into the NFL and, tally mark all of these attributes if you want to be a guy picked early, if you want to be a guy that makes it and lasts.
Yeah, and we should have stated this from the very beginning, because I know I believe this, and I'm pretty sure you believe it. But this stuff, well, I guess you kind of mentioned it when you were talking about Darnell. Hey, just you want to fit in a box. Okay, does he check this off? Hey, this isn't way too bad. We need to check something. The film is the only thing that really matters.
Yeah,
and I feel this is just a next little bit. So that's why I always got nervous if the Titans ever drafted a combine guy. Now it worked out when they drafted Chris Johnson, but CJ2K put up some nice numbers at East Carolina. It wasn't he just, matter of fact, the other Chris Henry, for you old Titans fans, who rushed for 500 yards at Arizona, but goes and looks like a robot, runs great in the Titans draft.
Yeah.
So he's a combine guy that got drafted. But anyways, for Jalin, the film is what matters. And in the film, he ran by people, and he was constantly open. And we all knew that he's kind of, in a way, that one-trick guy. Hey, I'm going to take the top off with a vertical, with a post, with a whatever. I'm not saying that he didn't do other stuff at Tennessee. He did. But what he's best at is taking the top off, running by people, believing people. And so I was really okay, is he going to be a Will Fuller? Is he going to be a Deshaun Jackson? And I give those two because Deshaun Jackson had a really nice career, was around for a really, really long time. Him and Ted Ginn played way until their older years because they always had speed. Will Fuller was a guy who got drafted high because of his speed and never really panned out because he just couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
And so it's that's kind of that box of where he is. And I'm very surprised. He got beat in a 40-yard dash by Byron Young. Who would have ever thought that going into? No one. You could have talked to 1,000 you could have talked to 1 million out of 1 million people who either watched or covers college football, and no one's saying that that's happening. And so he's we thought Jalin was easily the fastest on the whole team. He's not even the fastest player on his team. So not to get hung up on that, I was just saying it surprised me because I really thought he was going to blow it out of the water. 4.4 is still very, very fast, but does, like you said, just GMs and thinking, dude, we thought this guy was going to be a 4.2, 4.3 guy, world-class speed, different speed. Let's go ahead and draft him. Now they're 4.4, there's a bunch of 4.4s out there. What are we going to go with? You know what I mean? He was the one guy I wanted to see on the field, and I didn't get to. Now, I heard, and I don't know if you saw, that he did have a couple drops. And that's why I wanted to watch him on the field to see if he made all of his catches.
Yeah.
Because you and I always saw at practice, it was one day he had 4 drops in practice. There's another day he had 2. I wanted to see if those hands came through in the clutch for him or if he had 1 or 2 bad drops.
Yeah, I saw one throw from Will Levis going around just over the shoulder, and it went right through Jalen's hands. Hit him right.
It was Jalen?
Yeah, and it wasn't a bad throw by Will. Obviously, it's on air, so it's not hard, and he dropped it.
Yeah.
That was – yeah, I saw that and was just
Last thing to wrap up, I'm very, very happy for him and his success that he had this year. I'm very, very happy that he won the Biletnikoff, and because his success helps the University of Tennessee. And everything that I've heard about Jalin, he seems like a really good guy. I don't know him personally. He seems to carry himself well. He seems to come from a good family. So I truly don't want anything but the best for him. But I think going into the combine, I would say it's a slight disappointment, even with really, really good numbers. It's just a slight disappointment. And it still doesn't matter because he's still going to get drafted, and it just depends on what he does when he goes to the league. Is he still running by people, and is he making the catches that he needs to make? So, all right, next one, Cedric Tillman. I thought Cedric helped himself a good amount.
Yeah.
Speaking of 40s, to see him run a 4.54, I think that is very, very good for him with his size. At 6'3", 213.
Yeah, that's a big dude.
That is a big guy. 4.54, a 1.53 10-yard split, 37-inch vertical, and a broad jump. So just think, like, besides the broad jump, those rest of those numbers are pretty close to Jalin. And not a lot of people would say that either when you watch how the two of them play. I feel like one's a one-trick pony track star and the other one's a football player. And so it's like, I feel like Cedric with his size, that really, really, really helps him. I mean, I honestly would not have been surprised, Kyler, if he'd gone 4.6, 4.59, something like that. To see him mid to low mid 4.5s, I personally think that really helped him.
I do too. I wouldn't have been surprised if I saw a 4.6 out of him, and I don't think other people would have either. So for him to get a low 4.5, I think it was like a 4.53, 4.54. Yeah. I definitely think that helps Cedric, and it's also like, hey, I'm coming off an injury and I'm still okay.
Right.
I mean, like, hey, I'll be fine. I had a great 21 season, an injury held me out of 22, but don't worry about that. The best ability is availability, as everyone says. So guys who are coming off injuries, people are worried that, like, you don't want to draft dudes when they're injured. There's a reason why Trey Smith was drafted to the Chiefs in the 6th round. And no one wanted to pick him up, or he might have been undrafted. I can't even remember. But
Trey was 6.
Yeah, in the 6th round, no one wanted to pick him up because of health issues in the past. Now you look at it and he's freaking balling on the Chiefs. Literally, like, getting called out for how much of a mauler he is, and he's got a Super Bowl. So
yeah, I would. That, speaking of Trey, that was when I was literally sitting in my house, and I'm just watching the draft go by. I'm watching the draft, and I'm like, yo, how did John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, that are 2 hours and 15 minutes if I'm driving the car away from you? And I'm not sitting there telling you that he needed to go 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I'm not saying that. But it was getting to the 5th and 6th round, and I'm like, what the f are we doing not drafting him?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Besides Vanderbilt, like, they're the closest you, besides Vanderbilt and MTSU. Like, how are you not locked in on this kid? And say, I get it. It's super, super serious health issues, but you're going to take a flyer on a guy in the 5th or 6th round who's going to become a 10-year, 12-year starter and be a dog. Sorry, my rant's over. That's the one that the Titans – I usually am not that guy as like a Tennessee fan. It's like, I hope the Titans draft all the Tennessee players. Like, I'm not like that. But Trey deserved it. At
a 5th or 6th round guy that, like, most years you end up cutting.
Right.
And you won't, like, of any position, like, you won't take that one? After you just flopped on Isaiah Wilson, like, your O-line is not set up great. You lost Roger Saffold. You flopped on Isaiah Wilson. Like, it was like, hey, you need offensive linemen.
I know. And that's why that was the other reason I was annoyed with it too. It's like, I just thought that was brutal mismanagement by the Titans. But anyways, like I said, we digress.
Yeah, we digress. Cedric. So Cedric helped himself over this weekend. I think he proved who he was. Ultimately, like, his 21 season is what's getting him drafted. It's what people are looking at and trying to see. With those guys like a Cedric, who hasn't been talked about that much in the media, and is more under the radar, the combine, not even the events out in the field, but him getting one-on-one meetings with teams, him getting in front of them and talking to them about plays and showing his football knowledge and them asking him questions about, that's where he can really make a difference. because out in the field, it's not necessarily, you're middle of the pack right now, unless you blow it out, like get a 4-3 and blow it out of the water, then that can help. But if you're still just kind of, you're good numbers, then maybe those meetings can set him apart from guys.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where he goes, and I'm very intrigued by. I'm very intrigued by where he goes. I was a little surprised how early VJ went last year. But if you and I don't mean this to be a knock at all, but like Cedric's like a pretty. I'm not saying he's average in skill, but he's an average receiver coming out of college. What I mean by that is like there's going to be multiple guys in each conference that's 6'2", 6'3", 208 to 215 pounds. Good players. They were, the best player on their team, whether it's, like Tennessee or Iowa State or, Cincinnati. Like you get what I'm saying? Like the point I'm trying to make. And so that is why I'm very intrigued because, like I said, there's guys who went a lot earlier last year than I expected with Alontae and VJ for Tennessee. So I'm like, okay, where does Ced fall? And like, I think his best attribute besides his size is like, he's just a good football player. Like he honestly is Juwan Jennings, but better numbers. Obviously he doesn't have that sentimental and those big time plays that Juwan had.
Yeah.
But like, where does he go? And does he get a good shot? Because you can't tell me that if he gets in a good situation that Cedric Tillman can't be a good number 3 at somewhere. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think he could be a good number 2, especially with like his blocking. I mean,
we were talking about. I love that he catches with his hands, and I think that he can run every route. He can do a hitch, he can do a slant, he can do a dig, he can do a like a climb route, he can do an out route, he can jump ball people, he can beat people over top. Not his fault that every time he was beating people deep that he was getting dealt with the overthrows. So like that's why I'm very intrigued about him and to see his journey because I think he's a very, very good football player.
You can also beat guys multiple ways too, because you almost think about it as like wide receivers, like, hey, you're speed. You got to beat your DB with speed, and like tight ends beat your guy with size. Like Cedric can do both. Like he's blocked out DBs to get a catch. He's also ran by DBs or made them miss on their hit turn. Like he's done multiple things to get the ball in his hands, shown multiple ways of doing it. So I just just like the value of Cedric I feel like is so high because he's good at everything.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. And like I said, these numbers surprised me a little bit. So that's why I'm happy for him. And like I said, I hope that didn't come off as a knock. Of sometimes I hear these points and I try to make them, and sometimes they come out well and sometimes they don't. But I think you understand like what I meant, like size, speed, height, weight. Like there's a lot of I'm not saying that's average because it's not average speed or height. I'm saying I should have said there's a lot of guys like that come out every year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's like, where does he land? But I love him as a player. We got Darnell Wright now, big man,
big dancing hair, baby.
6'5", 333 pounds, 33 3/4 arms. And then he had basically 5'1", 40, so almost a 5 flat, 181, 10-yard split, vertical jump 29, broad jump 9.6.
I love it. I think it's great. I mean, 333 pounds and running a 5 flat is very impressive. That is a fast man. In one video I saw of like oh my gosh, dude, like I tweeted it out, but like I don't know if people understood how great of a rep that was in what he was doing. It was a video of him setting out, setting back in, punching it back, setting out, and then turning and running. His balance and his weight, his quickness in his feet, the violence in his punch, like it was perfect. He did it perfectly. This guy keeps going up in the draft because he just keeps showing what he can do. Sometimes I do think that the Senior Bowls and things like of that nature are better for offensive linemen because who cares if you can run a 40 that fast? You know what I mean? Who cares if you can really jump that high? Is your squat over 500? Okay, then we're going to be okay. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to jump 30 plus inches as an offensive lineman. So when they get to see you in practice, when they get to see you with pads on and your violence, that's great. And then when they get to see your feet and how quick your feet move in drills or even a shuttle, possibly, that's great. But Darnell did himself a service. He did what he needed to do. He put up the numbers he needed. And I think his 40 is faster than people thought it would be. Scouts thought it would be. And I'm just so impressed with him. I knew he was super, super athletic just from watching him, but for everyone else to catch up on that is awesome. Like I love this. I love the praise for offensive linemen. I can definitely see Darnell being a first round pick. And I can see him playing tackle. A lot of teams want their 6'7" and 6'8" and 9s and like huge, tall, lanky guys. But Darnell is a beast, man. I mean, that Alabama tape made the difference in everything. Him shutting down Will Anderson, it was huge.
So everyone likes to say the in his bag, made money, that game, that film just made him millions. But let's say this. So Darnell went into this year and he threw his ski mask on and he looked at me. He's like, Reed, you ready to do this? I said, yeah, let's ride. So we put our on. We walked into the bank. We're about to hold the joint up. We're going with a good old fashioned mobster bank robbery here. Yeah. Okay. We're hiding from Barney Fife. So we put our ski mask on. We walk in, and at the start of the year, it's like Darnell's back. We're looking for a big year out of Darnell. Are they going to kick him to left tackle? He feels better at right tackle. You're hearing all that stuff. We said, all right, screw it. Like, we've already got the ski mask on. We're staying at right tackle. We're walking in. Hands up. We need the money. So we start getting a little bit of money. Then you trickle in. You start playing some games. We get a little bit more money. And then you go to Alabama week, and he plays Alabama week, and that was, hey, open up the vault, and you just add more.
Yeah, they spun that key open and swung that door.
Yeah, they swung that door. Me and Darnell there just taking money, baby. We're just taking money because everybody wanted to see what Will Anderson would do. And then he goes, and we're about to leave. And I said, hold up. And he goes to the senior after a great season. And we're about to leave. And it's like, we're going to the senior ball. It's like, no, we want everything that people got in their safety deposit boxes. So we're loading up. We're old people's safety deposits. And he goes and wins that award at the Reese's Bowl, which is by his counterparts and by his peers, which is very impressive. And then as we're walking out the door, it's like somebody walks in. It's like they're walking in making a fat deposit. They're a business owner. They got 100 cash. And I just say, Darnell, grab that last bag, and we walk out. And that's the combine.
Darnell says, give me that shit.
Yeah. 6'5", 330, sure, sir. You can have whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But he literally just added the money all year long. And I tried to say it a couple pods ago, or I don't know, maybe it was in the middle of the season. I was like, dude, Darnell is really, and it might have been at the end of the season pod that we did, he's really one of the more underrated Vols in the past 15 years, maybe longer. Because, like, now I get it. He's not one of these offensive linemen like a Trey Smith who got a bunch of pub and, putting cowboy hats on and orange breeches. He's not one of the Mays brothers who's more personality. He's not whoever. He was really that offensive lineman living in the shadows. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do my thing. Soft-spoken. I'm just going to show up and ball. And that's what he did. But, like, this year, everyone talked about Hendon. Everyone would talk about Jalin. And even said was coming off a big year, so people want to talk about him. Then what's the defense? It's like no one's really talking about Darnell. I mean, we were even worried about the offensive line. And like I said, going into the year, it's like, is Darnell going to have a big year? Like, are they going to kick him to left tackle? And then he said, no, he feels more comfortable at right tackle. And now you look up, and another thing that I love about Darnell, and it's like one of the reasons I would love if the Titans could grab him, is because he's very durable. Like, I don't really ever remember. I think there was one span in one offseason where he's maybe dealing with an ankle. But, like, I don't really remember him ever really missing games much that I could. I mean, and like I said, the film matters the most. But then when you can come here and it's his 5 flat 40 was third fastest amongst offensive linemen, weighing at least 330 pounds since 2003, almost 20 years, or maybe it was right at 20 years, depending on how the calendar falls. He tied for sixth fastest 40 time among all offensive linemen this year. Broad jump, third amongst offensive linemen this year. I mean, what else can you say? He's built different. He was born different.
Yeah.
And he's worked really well for his craft.
Also, like you were saying, unsung hero, a guy that stayed during a really tough transition and showed up for his team and was a literal rock for this team that he didn't get talked about much, but he was a rock on that offense. Like, it was insane how much stability and just worry away from Hendon. Like, how much Hendon had to worry less because Darnell was right there. Like, he didn't even have to think about that right side. Darnell had it locked down. There was nothing that was going to come. There was nothing Hendon had to worry about. That's the relationship between offensive lineman and quarterback. Offensive lineman's job is to make sure that quarterback doesn't worry about getting hit, that they can just look downfield and survey the wide open space and take advantage of it. Don't even think about somebody coming to hit you. And that's what you want as offensive lineman. That's what Darnell did.
Besides, and I agree, but besides even that, when they had him pulling and in the run game, and I thought he was really good whenever they had him pull or run his way. And I mean, he's just super, super, super solid. And you are elite of the elite if you're getting talked about as a first-round draft pick in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I'm
the only thing that I think might not put him in the first round is because he played right.
I know. But,
because he still has like some games that left. Like, it's in his repertoire. It's just not what he's been doing. So we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah.
Next up, BY.
Your guy, our guy, we love BY. Like I've already said, the most surprising. I thought he was going to do well. I didn't think he was going to go out there and freaking annihilate it. But
yeah, I was definitely surprised too.
6'2", 250. I mean, this is just so unfair. Like, Byron, you literally have the body that I've always wanted. Technically, I always say 6'3" or 6'4". You're 6'2", but 250 with cuts, chiseled. I mean, it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not. I remember when the first time we saw him and we did a breakdown of films, and then we went to practice and we're like, oh, there's your guy BY from Virginia Military. And I looked and I said, that's what an SEC linebacker is supposed to look. I said, we have one of those guys. Alabama has like 30. Remember when I said that? I was
I remember.
I was like, we need a bunch of these dudes. And then he comes out and plays like it, and then he shows up. And 4.43, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That is in freaking sane.
Yes, dude. For a defensive end at 250 pounds, that's crazy. I mean, we were just talking about Jalin being fast at 4.4. And this guy is 74 pounds heavier.
74 pounds heavier. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine if they put a weight vest on Jalin that was 70 pounds and they raced? Oh gosh.
I want to see BY run a route, man.
I mean, BY is built different, man. Built different. Okay, 40-yard dash, 4.43, 10-yard split, 1.62, vertical jump, 38.
So fast.
38 inch vertical. Broad jump, 11. I mean, that's jumping out of the gym. 3-cone drill, 7.9. And then bench reps, 22. All right, I'm going to say it. I'll just say it. I'll say it, BY. Come at me if you need to. 22. I thought we'd be about 25, 26. But, hey, you know what? That's okay. That's okay. You got those 32-inch arms. I know you got to put that weight up there a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'll let that one slide.
As long as it equals out to his 1 rep max being more than 330, we're going to be all right because that's who he's going against, 330-pound dudes.
Let me say this real quick. Notables, his 4.43 40-yard dash was second best amongst defensive linemen at the NFL Combine, and fourth best at the position in the past 20 years. I don't really consider him a D lineman. I guess he is a D lineman, but I would say, I don't know. We've been over this argument before. It doesn't really matter.
I think it literally depends on the defense you run.
Right. I know. So anyways, doesn't matter. He also led all of defensive linemen in the broad jump with 11, and he was second amongst defensive linemen in vertical jump. And then his 7.19 3-cone drill was the fourth best amongst defensive line this year. Man, so happy for him. This is where you make money as a prospect. It's like, oh, he's a good prospect. He has some pretty good film. And then you go out and do this, and these GMs and these coaches automatically get a little excited, and they start getting a little pop in a tent in their pants and their khakis, in their sweatpants. They're like, "Who's that down there?" I'm a little fired.
Hold on? Did you get a 4.4? That's what I got.
Get 4. Is that Gatorade in your pocket, or are you just excited to see me? Dude, anyways, I couldn't be more happy. This one really, really surprised me. I honestly thought if you'd made me say BY, I would have said I bet he goes out and runs like a 4.5, 4.55, 4.54, which I still would have thought would have been really, really good. But that's next level. I'm excited to see where he goes. Yeah. Do you have any worry? Let me ask you this. Do you have any worry about his game going to the next level? Like maybe that he is only 6'2" and his arms aren't that length, or maybe that only 250?
No, the reason why I don't is because I've seen a Julius Peppers who's 6'9" have success, and I've seen a Von Miller who's 6'2" have success. So it's like,
or Elvis Dumervil,
Yeah, like you can be long and lanky and use that to your advantage, and use that length to your advantage. You can also be shorter and quick and use that to your advantage, which Byron is. He's very twitchy, if you were to describe him as that. Now, I don't think he's as quick as Von Miller. I've never seen anybody as quick off the ball as Von Miller.
I love watching Von Miller play. By the way, Von Miller, Julius Peppers is probably like 6'7". Calais Campbell is like 6'9". So anyways.
But Calais I see as more of a D lineman than a D end.
No,
but
he is.
But dude, Von Miller's quickness off the ball is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never seen someone get off as fast as him. It is an absolute nightmare to try and block him as a tackle. Like watching him go against tackle, watching him in Super Bowl 50 in person. I was at that Super Bowl. Watching him beat Rimmers over the edge was insane. Buddy wasn't even close to out of his stance, and Von's past him. It was crazy. Anyways, this is about Von. It's about Byron.
Hold on. I gotta talk. I love Von too. Watching Von and Aaron Donald in last year's Super Bowl together was a thing of magic. But everyone wants to talk about that ankle flexion and that really how you can bend, like when you're coming around that edge, and most people bend, they can be like bending like this, and then you got these guys that are like bending like this and somehow still not touching the ground. And can BY do that? Can BY get to that point? And by the way, Elvis Dumervil was 5'11", and he was a stud. He had over 100 sacks in his career. I loved watching Elvis. But anyways, so yeah. you feel fine because of
what I've seen out of previous defensive ends, and I've seen different sizes and different weights. I think you can just use whatever you have in your bag of skills to beat an offensive lineman, to beat a tackle. Now, it's going to be harder for him when he goes against a Tyron Smith, who's very lanky, who's all arms and legs, and he can't quite get to him. But there's still the opportunity of games of, any kind of blitz or twist or whatever, and you can make your opportunities. But Byron is still so raw as a defensive end that he can. The only way is up at this point. What these scouts are seeing is, here is a freak of nature who hasn't had that much time to become good at defensive end, and take him. Like, take him and coach him up and do what you do. And I'll tell you what, he might get drafted high because if I know anything about coaches, they have high egos and they think, I can make him great. I can make him the next Von Miller. I can make him the next, whoever. Coaches have that ego. They automatically think like my offense is the best or my defense is the best or my coaching is the best and I can do this. And that's all Byron needs is one coach to be like, listen, this guy's a freak. He runs a 4.4 at 250 pounds. I can tell how much of a freak he is. He's quick. He's twitchy. I just got to teach him a little bit of pass rush skills, and he's gonna kill it for me. He's gonna dominate.
I think, and another thing about that is too, no one is going to have any reservations about drafting him because of the young man that he is, the character that he is. Everyone knows. Too. Everyone knows his story. Everyone knows what he's been through. When we were at practice and watched him, he didn't know us. There was no reason to be as polite and nice. And like I've talked about, Jerome and Jacob and some of these other guys are just super quality young guys. And like Byron handles himself in that way. I mean, we were there and there was a fight. And he got up at the end of practice and apologized to his team because he said, I can't do that. Like I got to control my emotions. I can't allow that stuff to happen, which was very impressive that he did that. So besides being a freak, he seems like he's going to be a solid member of your franchise because you're not going to have to worry about him. He's going to conduct himself the right way. He's going to work really hard. And so all that stuff matters when you're making $1 million investments to these guys. On Saturday night, I sat there and I watched Nolan. No, it was Thursday when he ran this. It was Thursday night.
Yeah, they were early.
I watched Byron Young highlights, and then I was watching Nolan Smith highlights, the guy from Georgia, the outside backer that ran really well. And both really good highlights. One thing I liked about Byron is, like, if you went back and noticed, he made, like, his sacks and some of his big-time plays were, like, some of our bigger games. Like, there's sometimes, like, a couple of Nolan's. Now, like I said, Nolan still had some really good highlights against some really good teams, but, like, it started out, like, there was one maybe against, like, Vandy, and there was another one against, like, Morehead State or somebody. But, like, Byron's first one, he's coming off against Clemson. He's dogging somebody at Kentucky. He's doing somebody dirty at, wherever. And like I said, they both had really good films. But if you go back and watch, and I pulled it up now, like Byron made some really, really good timely plays, just like at Pittsburgh. And like he was going up. I mean, he wasn't over here doing it against UTC and friggin' Austin P or whoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think Nolan's that was kind of the attack on him. Is like he is a great defender and very athletic, but like the production wasn't there this past year. Like I think he had like 4 sacks, like 3.5 sacks or something like that.
The sack that he just has against LSU. I mean, LSU is another quality opponent. And people can argue for Nolan that he has to compete against a lot of other really, really good dudes that are also trying to get to the quarterback. And then I can sit there and say, well, I can promise you when I was coming off the edge at Catholic, I sure as hell liked it when Kyler Kermison was a defensive tackle. You know what I mean? Because they're blocking his big ass, and it's a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, it is so much harder for a guy who is the guy to get a sack than it is if you have monsters all over the place. Because what that means is the guard who's blocking Jalen Carter isn't looking out to the defensive end and seeing if he can help his freaking tackle. He has his hands full. He ain't worried about your guy. You take care of your guy. You get paid your NIL money. You get scholarship like everybody else. Take care of your guy. I'm gonna take care of Jalin. There's when you have multiple dudes on the defense, it's hey guys, you're gonna get 1v1. It's going to happen throughout this game. You got to hold your own. A running back isn't going to be there to chip. Your buffers aren't going to be there from the interior or the outside. You got to do it on your own. Get ready. When you're playing Missouri and they have one defensive end that's really good, then all they go is, hey, Darnell, he's going to line up on you, and he's really good. We're going to give you some chip help every now and then, slow down his rush. We're also going to run some draws and screens, and that'll help, and we'll be fine. They don't even talk about the defensive tackles because it's not a worry. Yeah, you go against Georgia and you're like, Jalen Carter's over here and Smith's over here. And you're just naming dudes all over the place. There's no scheming around that. There's no like, hey, I can help you out here, but then you leave your other guy out to dry. So it's so much easier when you have other dudes around you.
Coming from a guy who watched every game and then had to rewatch every game to do this pod, I'm enjoying watching these highlights because I forgot about it. I mean, he had 2 sacks in that LSU game that I just saw were nasty. He's coming off the edge right here in Florida. I mean, big time games and like big time moments where he's winning and making pressures, making guys step up. Like, I love BY. I hope nothing but the best for him. So, anyways, we could gush about BY all day and a lot of these other guys. Let's hit basketball real quick. So the fact that when I was in the building and the week after we lose on a buzzer beater, Missouri. So that puts us at the 5 seed and the 4 seed. Personally, doesn't bother me because I'm selfish. And so it's okay. Thursday, I don't have to wait till Friday to watch my boys. I'll watch them Thursday. Unfortunately, we have not talked about it since it happened, but Double Z went out. It was awful. Awful to see that. I was sitting there watching with my dad. Immediately, he and I were just like, holy crap, like, we hope, when you see non-contact, you hope it's not what it is. For me, I started sitting there and I was like, I really, really hope it's not, but if it is, and I'm sitting there counting the months until next year for a full recovery for him. Obviously I want a good player on my team, but I'm sitting there like hoping for his sake that he can get back. And so I'm happy. I say all that to say it's nice that we get – I'm selfish. I'm going to watch my boys play. But it's also that we get another game under our belt to work on the point guard by committee. I think it's also good to hopefully get March. Now it's time to start stacking wins, start playing your best ball. Do I want us to sit around till Friday and play? No, like we won this thing last year. Do I care if we win it again this year? Not necessarily. I'm more focused on the big tournament. So give us an extra game to get things ready.
And our placement, honestly, I like. You get 2 games in versus opponents that you've either had close games or beat the crap out of. Because we beat Ole Miss earlier in the season, it was 63-59. It was close. Mizzou just beat us on a buzzer beater. It was close. We whooped the shit out of South Carolina. So it's like those 3 teams are the ones we could be playing first, and then we play Alabama, who we've beaten. So it's
we match up great against Alabama.
Yeah, we match up great against Alabama. So I think we're on the perfect side of the bracket.
I agree, Kyler, because I do not want to play Kentucky.
No.
I play Texas A&M. I don't want to play Auburn, not because these are all different reasons. Kentucky, I think, is a bad matchup for us. Texas A&M, I don't love the matchup with them. Arkansas, I feel okay against, but they still have a lot of talent, and I don't want any of those 3 5-star freshmen going off. And I definitely don't want to see Auburn again because I hate the way Auburn plays because it's typical Bruce Pearl. I love Bruce, but the one thing that I used to hate about him is he would let these guys go too much street ball, and it's so annoying to play against because you play really good defense. You take a 5 or 6 point lead against Auburn and a Bruce Pearl team. You go down. You maybe miss a shot. They get the rebound. You come down, and they throw up some 50-foot three. It's a terrible shot, hand in face, and they make it. And it's like it's just so annoying to play against. So I'm like, I don't want to see that garbage. So I agree with you. I don't want to play Kentucky, Texas A&M, or Auburn, and I would much rather play South Carolina, Missouri than even Arkansas. So,
yeah, I completely agree. And then, listen, let's win 2. And you know what? Lose to Alabama. I'm not holding them to a standard where I'm like expecting them to whoop the shit out of them. I'm just like, hey, show me something good. Win a couple games, get a little hot streak. You lost to the number 1 team. That's okay. That's okay because you beat them earlier in the season. So I know you can do it. It's an okay team to lose to. If we were to lose to Kentucky for a 3rd time,
brutal.
Wouldn't hear the end of it.
And since we're talking about this team, I'll say this. I'm hard on Tony Allen, aka Meshack. Tony Meshack, as I want to call him. But I don't mind him at point guard because if he does struggle offensively, then put him at point guard because he handles the ball well. Let him distribute it. Let him be out there to play his really good defense against the other team's point guard or the other team's best player, whatever, you know. So I'm fine with that. Like, this team is going to go as far as Josiah Jordan-James and Santi both have to play pretty well. And I'm not saying that to be great. I'm not saying Santi has to put us on her back or Josiah Jordan-James put us on her back. And I'm not asking too much to say, just Josiah Jordan-James, give me 10. Give me at least 10. That's all I'm asking, Josiah. Just 10 points. And then if Santi can give me 12 to 14, that's all I'm asking. If we have that, then the season is on role players. If Euros plays decently well, if Olivier, who I shouldn't be talking about as a role player, but he hasn't shown me much anything else as of late. But if Olivier steps up, if Tyree
gets more back into it after his injury.
Who?
Phillips.
Yeah, no, exactly. Get Phillips working in because I don't like the fact that he can't. I don't really like any basketball player that can't hit a three in today's NBA. Excuse me, in today's basketball, and that's just me. But I do like the way Julian Phillips gets to the rack. He's definitely our best free throw shooter, so I'm excited when he does drive. And he's a good defensive player. But if you get our two seniors, just give me 10 apiece. One of you get 14, 15, whatever, and then let the role players play to their biggest capability, then this team can go Sweet 16, Elite 8. And and for me, all I want this year, I just want to make the Sweet 16. You have consistently been a top 10 to 15 team all year. Hell, we've had some bad losses, and I still think the worst we were ranked was 12th lately. And maybe earlier in the year they were whatever. But
I think we're 17th now.
Just get Sweet 16. That's all I'm asking. That's not much to ask. Just win a couple games, compete in your SEC tournament, and go get the Sweet 16. And I'm going to leave this year thinking, hey, I'm happy with how this year went, especially with Double Z going down. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
And I gave you the recipe of how they have to do it.
Perfect. I hope Rick Barnes listens to this podcast.
He does, and he's too busy friggin'
I don't know what he's doing out there, but he's not letting them shoot free throws or teaching them not to foul at certain times. All right, man.
What's your thoughts? What's your quick thoughts on the basketball? Or is that everything that I said? Is that what I?
No, I mean I agree with you. Like those guys do have to step up. Like I want to see Vescovi off of the ball. Like I think he can do that Steph Curry run around, get open, shoot a three. And he's good at that. And it just stinks when a point guard goes down in Zakai, and then it's like, hey, you take over, be the point guard. It's like, well, it's not fair to him. That's not his game. So if Meshack can do that and distribute, I would love it. I don't know if he can yet. I'm not like completely confident, which is what you said, an extra game to get more reps at it, to figure out who can step in for Zakai. Because we didn't obviously you never expect injuries, but you should prepare just in case. And it just feels like we're just, like our point guy got hurt. Like we don't have anybody else. Like if Zakai would have went down last year, we had Kenny Chandler. If Kenny Chandler went down, we had Zakai. So it's like you had somebody else. Now it's just kind of like, what are we doing?
Because BJ Edwards is the backup point guard. Well, I guess on paper the backup point guard, but he's a freshman, and obviously he's not ready to play, is what Rick Barnes thinks. So that's where it's, point guard by committee here. So
yeah, which is not gonna win you games. So we got to try and figure that out. But
March is you win in March with good coaching and good guard play.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Well, don't have good coaching in March, and so now our guard play is a little lacking. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll be lucky to make the Sweet 16, bud.
You never know. I can always hope.
Hey, keep it alive. That's that Vol hope. That's what we all have down deep. Can't help it. All right, man. Great pod. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave comments. We love the comments. Love to talk to you guys. If you're just listening, rate and review, download and re-download. Make sure you follow us on all those platforms. You can also follow us on social media at Believe in Tennessee for our main account, at rbacon26reed, at Kyler Kerbyson for myself on all social media platforms. We have merch out right now. How we doing, bud? T-shirts in orange and white. That link is below, so go ahead and check those out. And really appreciate you guys. You are always the best. Thank you so much for all your support. And as always, go Vols.